The last book of the Bible, a tapestry of vivid imagery, cryptic symbols, and profound pronouncements. This is the book of Revelation, a book that has captivated and challenged readers for centuries. Its pages offer a glimpse into a realm beyond our everyday experience, a world of angels and dragons, plagues and prophecies, and the ultimate triumph of good over evil. Yet beneath the surface of its intricate imagery lies a message of hope and enduring relevance. Today we embark on a similar journey of discovery. Imagine a world on the brink of cataclysmic change, a world where empires crumble, natural disasters rage, and the very fabric of reality seems to unravel. This is the world that unfolds in the Book of Revelation. John, the author, invites us to witness a cosmic drama, a panorama of visions depicting the end of the age and the dawn of a new creation. His words, imbued with urgency and power, offer a glimpse into the future, a future that holds both terror and triumph, despair and hope. It is a call to faithfulness and perseverance in the face of trials. To unlock the mysteries of Revelation, we must approach it with humility and discernment. We must remember that its language is symbolic, its message is multi-layered. We must seek to understand its historical context, its literary genre, and its theological purpose. The Book of Revelation is not meant to be read literally. It is a work of apocalyptic literature, a genre that uses symbolic language to convey spiritual truths. As we delve deeper into the text, we will encounter a cast of intriguing characters. These figures, though fantastical in appearance, represent spiritual forces and realities that have shaped human history. The Book of Revelation, despite its enigmatic nature, holds profound significance for us today. It reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles, that there is a God who is sovereign over history, a God who is working to bring about his ultimate purposes. It challenges us to live with a heightened awareness of the spiritual realm, to recognize the battle between good and evil that rages around us. It calls us to align ourselves with the forces of light, to be instruments of God's justice and mercy in a broken world. Imagine a world dominated by a single power, a vast empire stretching across continents, its legions feared throughout the known world. This was the Roman Empire in the 1st century AD, a world of both dazzling achievements and brutal realities. The Roman Empire, with its advanced engineering, organized law, and sprawling network of roads, projected an image of stability and order. Yet beneath the surface, tensions simmered. Social inequality was rife, and military campaigns were frequent. Those who resisted faced the empire's swift and often brutal response. In the midst of this complex and often tumultuous world, a new faith was taking root. Christianity, with its message of love, forgiveness, and radical equality, stood in stark contrast to the prevailing Roman values. It offered hope to the marginalized, solace to the suffering, and a promise of a kingdom that transcended the boundaries of earthly empires. The early Christians, drawing inspiration from the life and teachings of Jesus Christ, formed tight-knit communities. They shared their possessions, cared for the sick, and offered refuge to the persecuted. Their faith, rooted in love and service, spread rapidly throughout the empire. However, the Christian message was seen as a threat to the Roman state, which demanded absolute allegiance to the emperor. This clash of ideologies led to periods of intense persecution. It is against this backdrop of imperial might and Christian resistance that the Book of Revelation takes on its full significance. The author John identifies himself as a follower of Jesus Christ, who has been exiled to the desolate island of Patmos for his faith. Patmos, a barren and rocky outcrop in the Aegean Sea, served as a stark reminder of the Roman Empire's reach and ruthlessness. It was a place of isolation and hardship, far removed from the bustling cities and familiar shores of home. Yet it was here, in this unlikely setting, that John received the visions that would form the foundation of Revelation. As John endured the harsh realities of exile, the Spirit of God descended upon him. He was granted a glimpse into the heavenly realms, a panoramic vision of the future, and a message of hope for the persecuted church. Section 4, Emperor Domitian, a glimpse into imperial power. While the Book of Revelation does not explicitly name the Roman emperor during John's exile, many scholars believe it to be Domitian, who reigned from 81 to 96 AD. Domitian, known for his ruthlessness and paranoia, demanded to be worshipped as Lord and God. He instituted a period of intense persecution against Christians who refused to acknowledge his divinity. Domitian's reign of terror cast a long shadow over the early church. His demand for absolute loyalty, coupled with his brutal suppression of dissent, created an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. Christians, facing the threat of imprisonment, exile, or even death, found themselves caught between their allegiance to Christ and the demands of the Roman state. It is within this context of imperial oppression and Christian resistance that the Book of Revelation takes on its full power and urgency. Section 5. A message of hope in a time of trial. The Book of Revelation, though filled with vivid imagery of judgment and cosmic upheaval, is ultimately a message of hope. It assures John and all who read his words that God is in control, that despite the trials and tribulations faced by the early church, the forces of evil will not ultimately triumph. John's visions, though often terrifying in their intensity, offer a glimpse of a future where God's kingdom will be fully established, a kingdom characterized by justice, righteousness, and peace, a kingdom where suffering and death will be no more. This message of hope resonated deeply with the early Christians, providing them with solace and strength in the face of persecution. Section 1. A tapestry of symbols. The Book of Revelation unfolds like a richly woven tapestry, its intricate patterns and vibrant colors captivating the eye and stirring the imagination. Yet, unlike a traditional tapestry, Revelation's true beauty lies not merely in its aesthetic appeal, but in the deeper meaning hidden within its threads. For Revelation is a book of symbols, a literary masterpiece where every image, number, and character carries profound spiritual significance. To unlock the mysteries of Revelation, we must learn to read the language of symbols, to discern the hidden truths veiled behind its enigmatic imagery. We must approach the text with a sense of wonder and humility, recognizing that its depths cannot be plumbed in a single reading or grasped through mere intellectual effort. The symbols of Revelation, though often drawn from the natural world or familiar biblical narratives, take on a life of their own within the context of John's visions. They become windows into the spiritual realm, offering glimpses of the cosmic battle between good and evil, the unfolding of God's plan, and the ultimate destiny of humanity. Section 2. The Four Horsemen, Harbingers of Change. Among the most iconic and enduring symbols of Revelation are the four horsemen, harbingers of change and upheaval, who ride forth from the heavens at the breaking of the first four seals. These riders, each mounted on a horse of a distinct color, white, red, black, and pale, represent forces that have shaped human history since time immemorial. The first horseman, riding a white horse, symbolizes conquest and military might, the relentless advance of empires, and the insatiable hunger for power that has driven humanity to both greatness and ruin. The second horseman, astride a fiery red steed, embodies war and bloodshed, the unleashing of violence and the shattering of peace that leaves countless lives broken in its wake. The third horseman, mounted on a black horse, represents famine and economic hardship, the spectre of scarcity that stalks the land, leaving hunger and desperation in its wake. And finally, the fourth horseman, riding a pale horse, embodies death and pestilence, the grim reapers who harvest souls and spread disease, casting a pall over the earth. Section 3, the number 7 cycles of completion and judgment. As we journey deeper into the symbolic landscape of Revelation, we encounter a number that holds particular significance, the number 7. Throughout the text, 7 appears repeatedly, marking cycles of completion, periods of judgment, and the unfolding of God's divine plan. 7 churches, representing the fullness of the church, receive messages of both commendation and admonition, reflecting the spiritual state of the early Christian communities and offering timeless truths for believers of every generation. 7 seals are broken, unleashing a series of judgments upon the earth, unveiling the consequences of sin and rebellion against God. 7 trumpets are sounded, heralding further judgments and pronouncements, shaking the heavens and the earth, calling humanity to repentance and turning back to God. And 7 bowls are poured out, unleashing the final outpouring of God's wrath upon a rebellious world, culminating in the ultimate triumph of good over evil. Section 4, the beast embodiment of evil. No exploration of Revelation's symbolism would be complete without confronting one of its most chilling and enduring figures, the beast. This monstrous entity, arising from the abyss, embodies the forces of chaos, deception, and rebellion against God. The beast, with its 10 horns and 7 heads, represents both earthly kingdoms and spiritual powers that oppose God's reign and seek to enslave humanity. The beast's mark, a sign of allegiance to its authority, represents the seductive allure of worldly power, the temptation to compromise one's faith for the sake of security or advancement. Those who bear the mark are drawn into the beast's web of deceit, becoming complicit in its rebellion against God. Yet even in the face of the beast's power and influence, Revelation reminds us that evil is not ultimately victorious. For the beast's reign is limited, its power ultimately derived from the one it seeks to usurp, the true sovereign of the universe, the Almighty God. Section 5, the Lamb, symbol of sacrifice and redemption. In stark contrast to the menacing figure of the beast stands the Lamb, a symbol of purity, innocence, and ultimate sacrifice. The Lamb, bearing the marks of slaughter yet standing victorious, represents Jesus Christ, the Son of God, who offered himself as an atonement for the sins of humanity. The Lamb's sacrifice on the cross, a pivotal moment in human history, serves as a beacon of hope and redemption in the midst of Revelation's often terrifying imagery. For it is through the Lamb's blood, shed for the forgiveness of sins, that humanity can be reconciled to God and inherit eternal life. The Lamb's victory over the forces of evil, depicted in vivid detail in Revelation's climactic chapters, affirms God's ultimate triumph and the establishment of his eternal kingdom. It is a reminder that even in the darkest of times, love and sacrifice ultimately prevail. Section 6. The New Jerusalem Vision of Hope. As the curtain draws to a close on the Book of Revelation, we are presented with a vision of breathtaking beauty and profound hope. The New Jerusalem descending from heaven, adorned as a bride prepared for her husband. This celestial city, bathed in the glory of God, represents the culmination of God's redemptive plan, the restoration of all things, and the establishment of a new heaven and a new earth. The New Jerusalem, with its streets paved with gold and walls adorned with precious stones, transcends human imagination, offering a glimpse of the unimaginable beauty and splendor that await those who remain faithful to God. In this eternal city, there will be no more sorrow, pain, or death, for the former things will have passed away. The vision of the New Jerusalem serves as a powerful reminder that the trials and tribulations of this present age are but a fleeting moment compared to the eternal glory that awaits God's people. It is a call to perseverance, to faithfulness, and to living with the confident assurance that God's promises will be fulfilled. Section 1. Judgment and Redemption. The Book of Revelation, with its vivid imagery of cosmic upheaval and divine judgment, often evokes feelings of awe, fear, and even trepidation. It is a book that confronts us with the reality of sin and its consequences, the inevitability of judgment, and the need for redemption. John's visions, though often unsettling in their intensity, serve as a stark reminder that our actions have consequences, both in this life and in the life to come. The judgments poured out upon the earth, depicted through a series of seals, trumpets, and bowls, represent the outpouring of God's wrath upon a rebellious and sinful world. Yet even in the midst of judgment, Revelation offers a message of hope and redemption. For God's judgment is not arbitrary or capricious, but motivated by his unwavering love for humanity and his desire for our reconciliation to himself. The judgments depicted in Revelation are not intended to condemn, but to awaken us to the gravity of our sin and to draw us back to the one who offers forgiveness and new life. Throughout the tumultuous events of Revelation, one theme remains constant: the sovereignty of God. From the opening verses, where God is declared to be the Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, to the closing chapters where he reigns supreme over a transformed creation, Revelation affirms that God is in control, his purposes will prevail, and his kingdom will be established. In the midst of plagues, wars, and natural disasters, it is easy to lose sight of God's presence and to question his plan. Yet, Revelation reminds us that even in the darkest of times, God is at work, weaving together the threads of history, orchestrating events according to his divine will, and ultimately bringing about his good purposes. The book of Revelation, though filled with images of chaos and upheaval, ultimately serves as a testament to God's unwavering sovereignty. It is a call to trust in his wisdom, to rest in his power, and to find hope in the assurance that he is working all things together for good, even when we cannot see the bigger picture. One of the most encouraging and enduring themes of Revelation is the ultimate triumph of good over evil. Though the forces of darkness may seem overwhelming at times, Revelation assures us that their reign is temporary, their power limited, and their defeat certain. The book of Revelation is replete with imagery of warfare, depicting the ongoing cosmic battle between God and Satan, between the forces of light and the powers of darkness. Yet, even in the midst of this cosmic struggle, Revelation makes it clear that the outcome is never in doubt. The Lamb, representing Jesus Christ, stands victorious over the beast, symbolizing the forces of evil, and his victory secures the redemption of God's people and the establishment of his eternal kingdom. This theme of ultimate victory offers a powerful message of hope and encouragement to those facing persecution, suffering, or despair. It reminds us that no matter how dark the present circumstances may seem, God is greater, his love is stronger, and his victory is assured. Amidst the dramatic visions and symbolic language, the Book of Revelation issues a clear and compelling call to faithfulness. The early Christians, facing persecution and pressure to conform to the Roman world, were exhorted to remain steadfast in their faith, to hold fast to the truth of the gospel, and to live lives worthy of their calling. This call to faithfulness is not merely a passive acceptance of doctrine, but an active and engaged commitment to living out the Christian faith in the midst of a hostile and often unforgiving world. It requires courage, perseverance, and a willingness to stand apart from the prevailing culture, even when it means facing opposition or persecution. This call to faithfulness resonates just as powerfully with contemporary readers as it did with the early Christians. In a world that often tempts us to compromise our values, to conform to the prevailing winds of culture, and to prioritize our own comfort and security over the claims of Christ, Revelation reminds us that true faithfulness requires sacrifice, demands courage, and ultimately leads to eternal reward. Section 5. The Promise of a New Creation. The culmination of God's redemptive plan is the creation of a new heaven and a new earth. This renewed creation, free from pain and suffering, represents the ultimate fulfillment of God's promises. A new Jerusalem descending from heaven symbolizes the glory and splendor of this eternal dwelling place. The absence of tears and pain speaks to the complete restoration and healing. A day is coming when God will make all things new, and his people will inherit a world where righteousness dwells. Section 6. Living in the light of eternity. Live in the light of eternity. Revelation challenges us to prioritize the eternal over the temporal. Our choices matter, and we are accountable to God. The promise of a new creation fuels our hope. God's purposes will prevail and his glory will be revealed. Embrace a larger story and live with an eternal perspective. Echoes of Revelation in a modern world. The world today mirrors scenes from Revelation. Headlines blare with conflicts and upheavals. Traditional values are challenged, old certainties crumble. In uncertainty, Revelation speaks with urgency. We face our own trials and battles against injustice. The battle between good and evil plays out daily. Section 2. The enduring struggle, good versus evil. One of the most enduring themes of Revelation, and one that resonates deeply in the 21st century, is the ongoing struggle between good and evil. The forces of darkness, represented in Revelation by the beast, the dragon, and those who align themselves with their agenda, are not merely figments of a bygone era, but represent very real and present dangers in our world today. We see the influence of evil in the rise of ideologies that promote hatred, division, and violence. We witness its effects in systems of oppression that exploit the vulnerable and perpetuate injustice. And we encounter its seductive power in the allure of materialism, greed, and the pursuit of power at any cost. Yet, Revelation reminds us that the battle is not ours alone to fight. Just as Christ ultimately triumphed over the forces of evil, so too can we find hope and strength in the knowledge that God is at work in the world, opposing injustice, breaking down strongholds of darkness, and ultimately bringing about his kingdom of righteousness and peace. Finding hope in a world of uncertainty. In a world of uncertainty, Revelation offers profound hope. Despite chaos, God is in control. His purposes will prevail. This hope is rooted in the conviction that God's love will triumph over evil. Revelation points to a future where God's plan is realized, a future without suffering, injustice, or death. This vision serves as a beacon of light and strength. It calls us to active engagement in the present, empowering us to face challenges with courage and work for justice and peace. Section 4, a call to action, living out our faith. The book of Revelation, though filled with vivid imagery of future events, is ultimately a call to action in the present. It challenges us to examine our lives, to align ourselves with God's purposes, and to live as faithful witnesses to his truth, in a world that often seems determined to silence or distort it. This call to action is not a burden, but a privilege, an opportunity to participate in God's redemptive work in the world. It is an invitation to be salt and light, to stand up for what is right, to speak out against injustice, and to demonstrate God's love in tangible ways. The challenges we face today may be different from those faced by the early Christians, but the call to faithfulness remains the same. We are called to be people of integrity, courage, and compassion, reflecting God's character in a world that desperately needs to see it. Section 5. The enduring power of Revelation. The book of Revelation captivates and inspires readers centuries after it was written. Its power lies in speaking to the deepest longings of the human heart. It invites us to engage with the spiritual realm and confront good and evil. Revelation calls us to deeper faith and greater courage. It offers a roadmap for living with hope and purpose. Our journey through the book of Revelation spans centuries. from early Christians' tumultuous world to the 21st century's complexities. We've explored its historical context, a time of persecution and uncertainty. We've grappled with intricate symbolism, uncovering layers of meaning. From the four horsemen to the beast representing chaos and oppression, we've encountered compelling figures reminding us of spiritual realities. Revelation's key themes include God's sovereignty, judgment, good's triumph over evil, faithfulness, and a new creation. Ultimately, Revelation is a message of hope, offering comfort and encouragement, a call to persevere in faith, and a promise that God works all things for good. The message of Revelation transcends its historical context to speak to the deepest longings of the human heart. In a world of uncertainty and fear, Revelation offers hope, wholeness, and ultimate restoration. It reminds us that we are not alone, that there is a sovereign God working to bring about his purposes. Though often associated with judgment, Revelation points us towards a future filled with hope. The New Jerusalem captures the beauty and grandeur of God's ultimate plan for his creation. As we conclude our exploration of the book of Revelation, we are left with a renewed sense of hope and a call to action. The message of Revelation is to inspire us to become agents of God's love and grace. We are called to stand against injustice and demonstrate God's compassion, be peacemakers and beacons of hope in the midst of darkness.